So here's a review of the Radiant Dawn patch. And you might see here it says you are now offline, you are now AFK, you are no longer away. Here's why. Because the patch itself is interesting. You have only 3 bosses. It takes like an hour and a half or something, 2 hours or whatever between them, you know? And I understand in the future, in week 2 or 3, whatever, the time will be reduced and you will be able to do these faster. But it comes with so many problems, I can't help but wonder why. Like, the Radiant Echoes is supposed to be a sort of like a best of. You understand? So, it would make sense to have bosses from all over Azeroth's expansion. Arthas, Kael'thas, Archimonde, Illidan, what else was there? Garrosh even. Like, and the list can go on. Deathwing, yeah. But what we have is Ragnaros and Onyxia, both of them from vanilla, which, okay, makes sense. And then the Lich King, because they can't just let the Lich King die and be gone. There's no peace for artists in this game, it seems. Nevertheless, it feels a little bit weird that there's only 3 bosses and it takes an hour to spawn. The quest for killing these bosses also seem to be weekly for an event that will last 3 weeks. That's about it. The Radiant drops, the things that fall from killing, is it in the currency tab? Yes, the residual memories, these things that can fall from mobs are not really worth it. It's not really worth to farm the mobs because the mobs barely give anything. And that's not good. So overall, it's quite a depressing pre-event, to be honest, because the War Within has so many possibilities. There's so many things that can be done and will be done, and people are excited for it. But it seems the game has decided that no, the pre-patch event will not be fun, and it will instead be more like a boring chore that you have to do every several hours. And weekly, like, whatever. And I don't really like it. I feel like this is such a wasted opportunity for what is supposed to be a best of pre-patch, you know? It's a best of. We should have the best bosses from Warcraft's history in here. But instead what we have is basically 3. One of the most well-known one, the Lich King, and 2 from Classic. Which, okay, makes sense when if you think about the Classic Andes. But if Classic people are not going to get into retail just because you put 2 bosses there. Not especially now that you have, like, whatever, the mythic version of Ragnaros on Season of Discovery. There's really no point, and it will not make people come and want to play Classic just because you added these 2 bosses here. Compare this to, I dread to say it, the Shadowlands event, which Shadowlands, let's be honest, it kind of sucked. The Shadowlands pre-patch event had all the rares in Northrend, hyperspawn one after the other, made them stronger, and it was continuous. You didn't have to wait for an hour between everything. I feel like that one, that's like the only good thing I can say about Shadowlands, to be honest, is the fact that Shadowlands had an impeccable pre-patch event. Now granted, it was a little bit frustrating going here, and just doing the bosses and so on. And sometimes you miss some that you really needed or wanted because they gave a good bag or a nice item. But nevertheless, it still gave you something to do. It didn't force you to wait on it. And this way, the way the game is forcing you to wait to get this, to do this event is a little bit absurd if you think about it. Because their whole idea is for you to spend as much time as possible. And you want to spend as much time as possible because you pay like, what, 70, 80 euros for the expansion, 20 for the subscription. Though I think the subscription is cheaper, whatever. And at the end of the day, the pre-patch event sucks. The pre-patch event just sucks. You're just forced to wait upon things, do them hourly, barely get any residual. By the way, this is the residual I got from like 2 quests. And let's see what I can buy from here. Of course, I want the mount, which means I'm gonna have to, what do you call it? I'm gonna have to gather some more. Here's a funny thing. I didn't get to do the Onyxia one. I didn't get to do it because once Onyxia was on rotation in the Dust Marsh, I just couldn't do it. But think about this. It's like, what, 1k? 1.5k? Yes, 1.5k and some Drake's Awakened Crest, which are going to be useful, same as the Flystones for however long is left of the expansion. But how long will it take you to get these? If you only do the quest, let's look what I have. It's kind of skewed on my side because I did do some other things here and there, basically killing mobs. Because some phases also give you this residual memory, so it's not really 1.5k once you do the event, but around that line. Okay, let's just say 1.7, something like that. And the quest is weekly. If you only do the quest, only the quest, you don't get any bonus. You're just the most unlucky person ever. And you only get the 1.5 from the quest. That means in 1 week you have, what, 4.5? 9 in 2 weeks. And in 3 weeks you have, you're not gonna get the mount. The truth of the matter is, if you're only gonna do it from the quests, you're not gonna get this mount, which is basically, this is for my Horde character. I think for Alliance, it's a Griffin. This is just the basic mount that you have. This is like the basic vanilla flying mount. Vanilla. TBC flying mount. The Wind Rider, the Wyvern, and the Griffin. And it's not that interesting. And if we look at the pets, well, an Abomination, that's transparent. A Dragon, that's transparent. A Riverpog, no, that's transparent. I'm sorry, I was not much of a fan of the whole transparent thing in the Emerald Dream. Not a big fan of it there. Not a big fan of it here either. So I have to be honest with you, I don't really like it. I feel like even the rewards are a little bit unfulfilling. For example, bags are always something interesting, but they give like 32 slot bags or 30 slot bags. Now here's an interesting aspect. This, you see this? These are all bags this character made for himself. It was during whatchamacallit? Shadowlands. This all happened during Shadowlands. I made these bags. And I'm gonna be honest, I could make bigger bags. I can make the vibrant ones. Be pretty cool for this character. The thing is that there's no point in selling out bags. If you're not gonna bring in and make bigger bags overall, I don't think there's a point in giving these types of bags as rewards when people can either make them by themselves or buy them from the auction house. And again, not a fan of the whole transparent mount and transparent pets. The fact that the expansion, the pre-patch event, excuse me, is so long and takes so long to get things done, and when you get it done, once the timer hits and you can go in there, it's just so crazy and it finishes so fast that it's not even fun. As again, Shadowlands seem to have made it perfect with the way they did it. And it makes sense for Shadowlands since, you know, we had the whole Sylvanas fighting Bolivar and Northrend. It makes sense for that to happen there. And here where we should have the best of Azeroth, the memories of Azeroth, and by God, there's so many of them. If we go back to Warcraft 1 or pre-Warcraft 1 even, what we get instead is this. We get 3 bosses, again, the most well-known one, and 2 from Classic, and they take forever to do. The quests are weekly, and it's not good. I really feel like this is a wasted opportunity, because this could have been an amazing event, but it ended up not being so, because somebody thought this is a good event. It's not a good event. And here's an interesting problem. A bunch of people, content creators, whatever you want to call them, like myself, have bought the whole thing where you get early access to the War Within. Many people did it that don't do YouTube videos, that don't stream, that don't do anything. This patch will be barren in the last few days of the pre-patch event. Nobody will be doing it. Everybody will be doing the War Within thing that they got in the early access. Because nobody has a reason to do it. I'm surprised people do it now. Granted, there's some good items to be gathered. And that's really about it. People won't be doing it at some point very soon. And there's no reason to do it when you think about it. The mobs suck. I mean, the pits suck. The mount sucks. There's nothing really that interesting. And it takes forever to do. Yeah, no, this is probably like the worst one I think I found. This is a worse pre-patch. I'm sorry. Nevertheless, if you reach it this far, please like, comment, and subscribe. It helps the channel grow. And I'll see you in the next one. Probably a more happier one.